Hey, John here, and welcome to the new and improved world. This is on the Yogscast Complete Pack, which is amazing. Got 257 mods in it, and I'm gonna be going through quite a bit, but that in itself isn't that important. What is important, though, is my goals for this world presentation, I should say, because I want to show you, the viewer, quite a bit of interesting stuff over the next, well, hopefully many episodes. So let's take a tour first around my, not really sure what I want to call this, farm, compound, don't know, Minecraft, village, home, don't know. But anyway, let's dig into it. So I got some Ars Magica set up here. It's a pretty easy setup. I use some magical walls because I found them to be pretty cool, although they don't really link up that well, which I was a bit disappointed with, but I don't usually notice it. I picked up this little obelisk and made the first step in Ars Magica being the, I believe this is the neutral essence generator? Furnace? I'm not sure what you want to call it because it is literally like a furnace. You burn stuff to gain stuff. So I suppose furnace is a fine definition of that. I then proceeded to make some spells, and then I make this block. I wouldn't even call that a block. I'd call it a black aurum. And I went to the nether, and also the mariculture underwater places, because for some reason they have sunstone in them. Not too sure why they are underwater, considering they're either in lava in the nether, or that was a bit loud, or another place I can't really remember, but I know how to dig them up as well from the earth. Did I not just turn that down? I love having it, it's just too loud. So yeah, that is basically my Ars Magica setup. I have, however, murdered tons and tons of bosses because I found some pretty funny spells, which I always carry around with me. For instance, I do love my buff, but the primarily awesome thing I made is this. Firestorm. It's massively overpowered because I put quite a few damage into this, and as you saw, it took about 60% of my mana, and it does either one-shot things or kill it within a second due to the amount of damage it deals each. I think it's a quarter of a second, or tick if you want to count by that. I initially had this building as my hub for everything, but as you may have read on the sign right there, changed this building into a massive battery, and that is exactly what all this green is. It is the capacitor banks from the Ender IO, and they work quite neatly together because they form this massive battery which can hold quite a substantial amount of power. Furthermore, to support this massive size, I have my big reactor set up. I'm not too sure if this setup actually works with these two cables going into it, and I'll explain why they don't go directly into the battery. Because I've had some I had some problems with them actually connecting and staying connected, because for some reason they won't. Between logging out and in, they have a tendency of breaking, and if I zone out, for example, go to the Twilight Forest, I believe it's called, then they will fuck up as well. So I chose to just take advantage of the fact that I know I have a Tesseract in here, which always have and most likely will work. So I basically set this one up here to send energy, and that one down here to both send and receive, and I'll show you why. Because I moved my hub back in the day to this place, and yes, it might look messy, but I think it's amazing. I love the look of a busy ground floor. There's so much going on here that I won't even bother explaining all of it right now. Just know that every machine you see with one of the applied energetics interfaces attached to them most likely can and will do something. While I realize this isn't necessary, having one on each side, I haven't really figured out how to use the configuration, but that is a thing I will most likely cover in a later video. Now, back to the energy. I put it down here for the sake of not clouding, I should say, this area up here too much, because obviously all of them need energy. And not all of them actually have a wire going to them. I'll show you what I mean. But first, I want to show that this down here is basically my wiring. And to make sure that they can actually go over capacity, I put down some batteries, scatter them around, just for a bit of suspended or extra. I don't think suspended is the right word for this. A bit of extra energy, just in case I might need it. So yeah, that is pretty much that. I've also got these brine tanks set up. I don't think this is working. There we go. I had to turn it on. Next, let's take a look at. Well, I'll save that for later, because that actually has quite some synergy going on. Let's go to the smeltery. Yeah, I don't really use this much. However, I do use it for, well, sometimes steel, in case I need some specific type of steel, but that has mostly been fixed. I use it for obsidian ingots, for, well, there was an experiment more than anything, because I found something interesting, that these actually don't work the same, which almost all other ingots of several mod packs actually do. But yeah, that's the smeltery, and it hasn't been automated yet, as such. I can do it with obsidian, but that's about it. And also, those smoke racks are from the Twilight Forest, and they are the two on the side here, you can see. The other two are supposed to spew fire, but they don't really do that unless I feed them lava, and I can't do that by tank, evidently. So yeah, that's a bit of a shame, because it looks cool. And down here I got something I don't know fuck about, but I do enjoy meddling with it, because it's interesting to me that you can make weird shit out of bees, and I have actually come across a time where it was pretty handy that I had some bees lying around. That was mainly for making some ender stuff. I believe it was ender pearls. And, well, as I said, I have fuck all idea what I'm doing, so yep. I actually did this way before I set up my computer, so this has a tendency of going wrong. I actually need some chests. Quickly fix this. Take the meat out afterwards. Now that meat I'll actually get back to, because it is quite important to the farm I've been making. Because obviously a farm can't be a farm without actually generating food. And mine, excuse me, indeed does. And I'll show you how and what in a second. Okay, so what I mean by the meat is it can actually be mass produced, and you should see it can be mass produced quite significantly. And I'll get to that in just a moment. Just keep waiting. Because now I want to show what you can do with the crops. Because in this mod pack there is the magical crops mod, which enables a ton of different things to be harvested, I suppose you would call it. And if you notice my tool tip bar at the top, you'll see all of the different things I'm actually running by right now. It's all different, it's all random shit that I either needed or do need. And having this just enables me to never actually bother gathering anything, because I can just go to my computer, which I'll also get back to, and just type in what I need. For example, for an instance, type in iron and not make a spelling error. So let's have a look. I have these essences. These craft into iron ore. Let me just show you by creating 1,000 of these. See? That goes down, and that goes up. It's really as simple as that, and it makes a ton of materials. The only reason I don't have 1,000,000 of them yet is because I furiously use them. Anyway, there is a byproduct of harvesting all this. It's called sludge. So what I did was I set up a small factory for turning the sludge into useful material. However, the useful material isn't that useful. These are the primary... Is that a word? The primary products of the sludge conversion. I don't really know what I'm supposed to be using most of this for. I do know, however, this hurts you if you walk on it. At least I believe so. If you don't mind the shoes. Sand, always used for making glass. And soul sand, I don't really know what I'm supposed to use for. But I did like setting this up, mainly because of this. I could have made this more beautiful, but it was closed all the time anyway, so I didn't really need to. Yep. I don't know why she's here. I don't know why my magnet's on. So, I know which this mod is from, this witch here. From Witchery, which it obviously says at the top, but I never really did anything to try and catch her. It just happened. Oh well. Next, we got some animals. I did spend quite a time gathering some animals. Animals. English works. Nope. And what the fuck? Yeah, excuse me for that, but my pigs have all escaped. I used to have 8 in there. How did that happen? I slaughtered a few, yes, but what? Oh well. So I set this up to automatically. Well, you should probably know this system by now because this has been out there for quite a while. But the idea is that these cows breed by get out of the way by the breeder here, which is fed wheat directly from my system, which I'll get back to, and then they produce babies, which are separated from the adults by this chronotyper, and then slaughtered by the slaughterhouse. It really as simple as that. And then they get grind up to meat, and this is where we get back to the meat again. I need to make some fertilizer, evidently. Because down here, in this lovely white and almost clean facility, the meat is pumped down into these and converted into raw meat, which is then cooked by this. Ignore that dirt up there, it is totally sanitary down here. I swear, it's totally sanitary. Let's get up again. So I noted the fertilizer here. That is another thing that is a byproduct. I checked this earlier, just a second ago, the sewer for sewage. Because not only is there a byproduct of the farm, there's also a byproduct of the animals, that being sewage, which I can't pronounce, and that can be pumped into these machines, which then create fertilizer. The fertilizer is obviously used on plants, and that is being done by these two. I believe this is actually off. Let's have a look. Still being pumped, I assume it's because they're empty. Yeah, it must be. But anyways, those run when I need some more carrots and wheat. Obviously carrots and wheat are the only thing I need to breed both cows, pigs, chickens, and sheep. What? How the fuck did a pig get in there? That's really, really weird. There's a thing for him. What's it called again? Net Safari Net, is that it? Yep. Come here. Good. So yeah, the byproduct of the wheat is obviously seed, which I can use to mass produce chickens for some reason. There's just one issue with that, and I just threw one of them away. And that is I generate a ton of eggs. I really should just make this stop pumping the eggs into my system, but I find it hilarious, and I'm gonna be making a cake facility at some point just because I can. Oh yeah, of course, this massive thing. This is just a sewage container. I realized at some point that the sewage is just getting out of hand usually, and not having a place to store it is usually a bitch. So I made this in case I needed it. And there we go. Now that'll create a ton of fertilizer, and hopefully by the end of the session here, I'm gonna be able to show you how much fertilizer it actually made. But yeah, that is pretty much it. There's 2 additional things I want to store in there. We got the liquid experience. What is going on down here? Need to fix that. That was my mob farming, by the way. It has evidently broken. Good to know. Not sure how that happened. It could be a light mage versus a creeper. Yeah, it has to be. Look at that devastation in there. Gonna have to fix that. But yeah, that was a small tour. English. And that is pretty much the most important parts of this entire system. Except of course the mob farm, but that is pretty simple. It just sucks the important things into my system, and those that it misses actually get picked up by these chests. And all the shit I don't need and don't want go into the trash can, or bin if you're English, and then disappears forever. It's lovely, isn't it? Okay, hopefully see you next time. and I'll be doing one of these things. I'm not sure which one I want to go into detail with first, but I'll figure out a way to make it make sense. Alright, see you next time. Bye.